Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Pal of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week, we are on issue number 39 of Combat Patrol magazine. It is our final Aeldari issue. So, this week we're getting 5 Wraithguard for the Aeldari. These do have a build option, which I'll go through in a second, but otherwise, being Blade Guide are pretty cool. In all honesty, this is the type of issue I like, when you get all 5 unit kind of minis that build a unit in one issue. So there's no faffing around with us, say, having that sprue this week and then waiting till next week to get that sprue and the bases. We've got it all in one go, which is far, far better, far superior. Much happier with that anytime when it comes to these magazines. When they like to faff around and kind of give us part here, there, part there, I don't enjoy it personally. I think it's a bit of a naff, but this is far, far better. So, the build option. If you wanted multiple of these, if you're going for an Aeldari army, or if you're just looking to expand your current Aeldari army for a bit cheaper than what GW would charge you, obviously buying one of these is a pretty good option. Buying 2 of these is a very good option, because all you'll have is all these blades. Now, one thing you will notice with this magazine, it does not tell you to use these blades and such like that, because in all honesty, they're for the Blade Guard, which this same set of sprues also makes. So if you wanted to make Blade Guard, you can. Obviously, if you're going with Combat Patrol magazine and you just go with the Combat Patrols, we do not have the data sheets or stats or anything like that for the Blade Guard, so you will need to get them elsewhere, which, well, in all honesty, you'll probably find them online anyway. But if you wanted both, you can do. So if you're an existing Aeldari army, this is a really good option for you to buy your additional units for cheap and then go on with it elsewhere. So pretty cool stuff. I like this type of thing. So it's always very good when this happens. So I'm very, very chuffed to have these. Personally, I will be going with just Wraithguard. I'm not going to build out anything else because I'm not expanding the army. I'm just literally going with a Combat Patrol and that's it. So, pretty cool stuff. Anywho, the other thing that you'll notice is we get some cards as well. So on the pop-out cards, so we have some terrain and we have good old stratagem cards and such like that. And we also have our Wraithguard and Chaos Terminator squad, which are coming next week, data cards as well. Happy times. Then you'll notice there's a third one. That third card set is nice. It's green. It has the orc symbol because it is orc data sheet time. Happy times. I like this type of stuff. Now, obviously for the Combat Patrol, we get 4 units in that Combat Patrol. We get the War Boss in Mega Armor, we get the Boys, we get the Death Copters, and we get a Death Dread. The only card that we don't have here is the Boomdacker Snazwagon card, because that'll come later on when we get that unit, because that is the bonus unit with the magazine, and in all honesty, the one I'm looking forward to, to be quite honest with you. But otherwise, really, really cool stuff. If you're going to go for an orc army, obviously having the War Boss in Mega Armor is pretty damn cool. Having multiple Death Dreads could be a really good option. Same with Death Copters, having plenty of boys, and maybe an extra Boomdacker Snazwagon or any of the other vehicles. You can make it a really, really, really fun orc army. And the orcs are pretty fun. They have some really fun lore, which we'll get into during the magazine run, because they are quirky as hell, they are fun as hell, and yeah, it's good stuff. So pretty cool stuff there. I am very happy with that. Going into the issue, obviously, yeah, we've got minis, so it's going to be a build guide. So we have our Wraithguard build guide. Assembling your heads and the bodies themselves, very, very straightforward. Not a lot to them. you're just going to literally pop them all together, and they're all uniform and generic and such like that. So there's not really a lot of faffing around. The faffing around will come when it comes to building the legs, because you need to make sure they're in the right position to stand up, which is sometimes easier said than done. But you can have some really cool looking units at the end of it, which is always very, very good. So, happy times. When they're built, they are going to look a lot like that. And obviously you've got your bases, so you bung them on your bases, done. Chuffed with that. Painting it is very, very straightforward. Obviously you're going to paint it the same way you paint all your other Aeldari. So if you're painting it by hand, you're going to be using a lot of Mephiston red. If you're not, you're going to do what I'm going to do. I am going to go for a kind of colour scheme very similar to this. In all honesty, I've been umming and ahhing whether to go green, whether to go white, whether to go kind of your Wraithbone kind of colours or anything like that. I'm probably just going to go red because it's easy, and I'm lazy. Maybe, may not, because I'm also going to do the Votan in a very similar shade, so that may change. But otherwise, spray paint is your friend. Spray paint, build them, spray them, done. Chuffed. Happy days. Very, very easy when you spray paint things. And if obviously you've bought spray paint, like I did over the weekend, you may want to go for Colourforge, like I did over the weekend, because I was at UK Games Expo. I bought myself some more Colourforge sprays because they're very good. So why not? Then it's very, very straightforward. So for Whitehead, Bad and Black, Retributor armor in places, you're going to want some other colours later on, which we'll get to. So going to from that to that is relatively straightforward. It's going to be, you're going to be using Wild Rider Red. You may want to use a little tiny bit of good old Squig Orange. You may want to use a little tiny bit of Avalanche Sunset in there. You are going to want some pinks, some different shades of white. You may want to grey up there. So if you get Apothecary White, for instance, for contrast paint, it's a grey-y white kind of contrast, which will give you that kind of grey look to the heads. And away you go. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, a decent colour scheme as well. So not bad at all. Obviously on this page you can do your usual stuff, so you can give them their unit name, you can give them their background, and you can tick off whether you built them, painted them and played with them as well. So this will kind of keep you going to kind of make them more unique if you really, really want to. You do not have to, as per usual with it. On the other side though, you got your data sheet. Obviously we have the card for it from this issue anyway, so you don't necessarily need the data sheet if you don't want to keep the data sheet, but very straightforward, very easy, pretty cool. They do have a close combat weapon, although it's not big massive blades or anything like that, but yeah, they're pretty cool. So not bad at all. Obviously going on from there, we have more to do with our core rules. So strategic reserves, whether you're placing units in strategic reserves and such like that. So you have a maximum combined points value that you can place into strategic reserves, which can kind of be dependent on your battle size, whether it's an incursion, a strike force, or an onslaught. So, and that can kind of dictate what you're going to put in where. So obviously you are going to need points values, which you can find on the Warhammer 40k app and on GW's website and such like that, and yeah, away from there, and then you can drop them in and bring them in from strategic reserve. Some of them have kind of different abilities, so they can be dropped in, teleported in, and all that good stuff. Sometimes they just have to come in from the edge of the board, but yeah, you can do that type of thing, which is pretty cool. Then you got more information about terrain features. So the benefit of cover, craters and rubble, barricades and such like that, which can create you kind of different obstacles that may be faced within the 41st millennium. And yeah, straightforward. It's very, very easy. It's quite kind of decent, and it's always really, really good to see this type of stuff as well. Then obviously you got things like your debris, statues, hills, industrial structures, and much, much more. that appear within the game as well. So if you do want to get, obviously, the plastic ones of these, you can get them directly from GW, Wayland Games, Element Games, all that type of stuff. If you, obviously, you can use my affiliate links if you want to get them, not saying you have to, but there's affiliate links down below if you want slightly cheaper bits and pieces for any war games, or pretty much every war game out there anyway, down below. Anyway, happy days. Woods, also part of your terrain, and obviously you have things like ruins, like the Ruin Manufactorum and stuff like that you got with Imperium magazine. You can utilise those, of course, within your game. So you're not stuck to just using those little cards. You can utilise physical terrain, which makes it a little bit more kind of obvious what is terrain and what's more of an obstacle and such like that, and what you can see it through and see above and everything like that, and what only gives you partial cover and what gives you full cover and such like that. So you can use a lot of that. You don't have to just stick with terrain cards when you're going through games later on. Anyway, you get a bit more information about utilising things like the basics for terrain cards and such like that. So you do have the debris and statuary that are part of it, barricades and pipes and craters and rubble, which we've got cards for, and you don't have to just use those, but you can use a little bit of it if you really, really want to. It makes it a little bit more fun. So, pretty cool stuff. Then we move on to our scenario. So the scenario is Ghost Vanguard. So you're using an Aeldari deployment zone 1 and 2. You have terrain and you have the Chaos Space Marines as well, using battle mats 1 and 2 for our troubles. So it does tell you what you're going to be using. So you're going to be using your Wraith Guard, 10 Guardians and Heavy Weapon Platform, 3 Wind Riders and a Farseer, going up against the Chaos Space Marines in the shape of the 10 Legionaries, 5 Havocs, the Dark Apostle and his 2 Dark Disciples as well. And you get to have a little bit of fun with that and smashy nicey time, and it'll be pretty cool. So not bad at all. Moving on from there though, obviously we have stuff to look forward to. So next week is our final Chaos Space Marine specific army, which is a Chaos Space Marine Terminators. Obviously we're going to get more Chaos factions later on, and they'll be pretty damn cool. Obviously Chaos Terminators are pretty cool, so they have a really cool look to them, which the Terminators always had, which makes them look a bit heavier, a bit chunkier and everything like that. And then we're going to go a bit green and a bit mean, and we're going to go for the good old Orcs. So the Orcs finally entering the fray. First off, with our war boss in Mega Armor, obviously he is our leader. He does have that big weapon and a grot on his back with a machine gun, because nothing says Orcs than carrying a grot on their back with a big machine gun, because that's always a little bit fun. Obviously we had Auric Flesh earlier in the issue run. Very good paint. Obviously you're going to be utilising it on here. You can use things like Colia Green Shade and other greens to kind of greenify your Orcs. You can do them however you really want. You can go for different shades of green on different Orcs and such like that, and you can make them have a little bit of fun and you can enjoy yourself, and they're pretty cool. One thing I'm going to say is the checkerboard pattern is very difficult to do. I don't like doing it personally because I find it a little bit challenging, and sometimes I don't like a challenging paint job on minis, but it can be done, which is pretty damn cool. And obviously this kicks us off into our, from issue 41 onwards, giving us Orcs, which is going to be so cool because we do get some really good ones, and they have some such fun little factoids about them and their bizarre lore and systems, and the fact that, yeah, all sorts, that if they believe something works, it generally works, and yeah, it's just nuts. So really good stuff, and they're going to be so fun. And there are so many cool little units that can be picked up later on for the Orcs as well, which make them even more fun, including Squigs. You got the Beasts, you got the Squig Herds and all that type of stuff, which is so fun. Anyway, that's enough about that. So I'm going to have a quick little update as well. So over the weekend, I went to good old UK Games Expo in Birmingham. If you've never been to anything like that before and you have the time next year, it is on the 29th, 30th and 31st of May next year at the NEC again, and it's really, really fun time. So I fully recommend anybody going. This year was massive. There was so much to look at, so much to do. I must admit, one day sometimes doesn't feel like enough to go around it, and I may even, I don't know, maybe I might see about going 2 days in a row. I may not, in all honesty, but we'll see. In all honesty though, fully worth going. It was really, really fun and really, really enjoyable. Definitely worth the admission price, which was like 20 something pound per ticket, which is, fairly cheap, and really, really good fun. I didn't buy much in the way of Warhammer, or anything in the way of Warhammer actually. I bought some board games. I bought Warhammer Fantasy, the role-playing game. I bought a couple of Cthulhu role-playing games, some books for like D6 games and such like that. I bought Zombicide, which is really cool. So if you like different games and such like that, you can go to it, you can enjoy yourself there, and you can have a bit of fun with that. The downside is GW don't go there anymore. So the last couple of years, GW have not been since the newest release of Warhammer 40k. So the newest update anyway, which is a shame because it's really fun. And they sell some of their event exclusives there and stuff like that, and they just didn't go there for the last year. They didn't go there this year. I think they're letting the side down, really, and they should make the effort to go there, but it is what it is. But if you're in the UK and you get to go to it, it's always really, really good fun. And we'll try and do some content about it next year, I think, which I probably said last year as well, but I never did it. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching and hearing me rabbit on. I will see you sometime soon. Bye bye now.